Welcome everyone to today's Process Optimization Academy session focused on automation discovery. Now, this is a topic we've touched on briefly in other Academy sessions, but really haven't done a deep dive on. And more recently, we've had a few conversations where someone would say, hey, there looks to be a ton of opportunity here in this automation discovery tab. I'm just not really sure what this part of it means or where to start or what I should do next with the information that I'm seeing here. So we thought it was time to get some content out there to help folks better understand the value that portion of process optimization or the process optimization workbench was providing them. So really, I just want to thank everyone who's provided the feedback. Keep that feedback coming. We want to make sure that these sessions are providing value. So if there's a topic you want to cover, please let us know whether it's via email or a post on the community or a comment on the process optimization landing page. I want to make sure that these are valuable for you. Now, before we get to automation discovery, we have to get the Academy housekeeping out of the way for our newcomers and those who have stumbled upon one of our recordings for the first time. But after this one, I'm sure you'll go back and watch some of the others. The purpose of these sessions are to help us all get better educated on ServiceNow's in-platform process mining capabilities. We'll provide how-tos, practical guidance and use cases, product updates, and just really provide a place where we can exchange ideas and collaborate so we all continue to get better. How the sessions work, if this is your first time, we have a scheduled topic that we cover, usually for the first 30, 40 minutes or so. Then we open it up for questions on the chosen topic for that day. And then we open it up for just more general questions above and beyond the day's topic, sort of an office hours type feel. These sessions are recorded and eventually posted on the community. So if you don't want to be recorded in any way, maybe just put your questions in the chat rather than coming off mute. And then finally, feel free to post your questions in that chat section or the Q&A section, and we'll do our best to answer them. And then for those situations where we don't have an answer for your question immediately, we'll follow up maybe with a post on the Process Optimization Product Hub on the community, or use them as a topic for a future session, kind of like this one. This is the slide that says anything we say and do here today cannot be held against us in the court of law. It's also the slide that says, hey, as part of these conversations, if we make any forward-looking statements about what may be coming in future releases of the platform, you should take them as such and make no decisions based on them because those things are always subject to change. I'm sure you read the fine print. Really important because I know that Manjeet is going to be talking a little bit about our roadmap when it comes to automation discovery and finding automation opportunities on the platform. So I am lucky today to have a special guest, one of the leaders behind our in-platform process mining solution and someone who's been involved in bringing a number of different solutions on ServiceNow platform to life, Manjeet Singh. Manjeet, I know you've joined us before, but do you mind doing just a quick intro for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Manjeet Singh. I live in Santa Clara, California with my beautiful wife and 2 kids. I've been with company for about 7 years now in product management, and I love 2 things the most: building out great products and staying perfectly fit mentally and physically. So that's the goal.
Perfect. So we have at least one thing in common. I'll let the audience figure out which one. All right. So what we're going to do here today, as always, we'll do a little bit of process mining 101. Then Manjeet's going to walk us through the why and what of automation discovery. He'll do some demos, talk a little bit about use cases that, in terms of how to use the information to identify automation opportunities on the platform. He'll give us some information about where we're headed with automation discovery and finding automation opportunities. We'll get to your questions. Then we'll wrap up with, hey, you loved what you saw. How do you get started? Here's some resources for you. And we'll talk a little bit about future sessions to come. So as always, the quick process mining 101 for our newcomers. With everything we do, there's a designed and desired path in our minds for how it should play out and how it should work. Like when we started thinking about this session here today, I totally thought that Manjeet would be here at least 2 minutes ahead of time, but didn't play out that way. But I had a vision for how it was going to play out. And when we design things, we design for both efficiency as well as completeness to provide the best experience possible for anyone and everyone involved. Unfortunately, what we design isn't always what ends up happening in reality. The reality is that not all the work flowing through the processes on the ServiceNow platform is going to take the optimal path. And that's going to have a negative impact on both the experience that the employee maybe requesting the service is having, as well as the people that are actually doing the work behind the scenes. Now, identifying what's actually happening within our workflows and then improving them isn't always the easiest thing to do. Now, what in-platform process mining, or our product named Process Optimization, allows us to do is use the audit log data that is generated as records move through a given workflow on the ServiceNow platform. And it allows us to then use that data to create a visual representation of what is actually happening within a given process. And this new level of visibility helps us accelerate our ability to identify process inefficiencies, non-conformant process activities, and in general, improvement opportunities, ways in which we can get better. Process mining gives us the ability to answer process questions that have historically been very challenging to answer. So whereas like traditional analytics will allow us to answer a lot of the what questions about our processes, process mining helps us answer a lot more of the whys. So things like, where is our process stuck? Where is the rework happening? Where are tickets ping-ponging between groups? And where aren't we conforming to the process that we designed at the very beginning of this whole thing, right? These are all things that have historically been very difficult to answer, and then more importantly, act upon. And now they're available to us in a couple of clicks, which you've seen in other sessions. We here at ServiceNow like to say process optimization is going to get you to the why behind all of those KPIs that you have on your dashboards today. Now, in past sessions, we've talked a lot about how our in-platform approach helps organizations move from just doing one-off process mining science projects to being able to include process mining as part of their continual or process improvement routines or cadence that they have inside of the organization. And this is because the platform provides connected solutions that help at all four phases of a process improvement workflow, if you will, or program. So at the detect phase, the analyze phase, the improve and monitor phase. Now, today's topic is bucketed on this slide in the analyze section. But as you'll see, as Manjeet goes through this, it actually touches on all four phases in one way or another. And with that, I'm gonna pass it over to you, Manjeet, to kind of just take us through automation discovery, its power, and kind of some of the use cases that are out there.
All right, so let me share my screen and get going here. So Dan, can you confirm, is my PowerPoint up here?
It is.
Awesome. All right, so I'm calling this section continuous automation discovery. This is very close. This topic is very close to my heart more recently because as a company, we have a dedicated strategic focus around this term called hyperautomation, because the platform has evolved so much, and we have so many Lego boxes already in the platform when we think about automation, different kinds of automation. And as they are coming together, as we are building out a unified experience, how do you use them in a complete life cycle, which includes discovery, which means, hey, let's find out where do we have the automation, where automation can or should be applied, and then using the right tool set or technique to guide the user further. Hey, this is an opportunity, probably you can deflect it through self-service or a service portal, or maybe this opportunity, there is a good candidate for RPA. And then able to do this in an ongoing basis. That's the goal we have, and provide all the tools, capabilities, and COE around it on a single platform. That's the goal we are moving forward with full speed. So let me make it more concrete, because this session is about process optimization. So what role in platform process mining plays, and like where in this circle? So I think the most important part here is the discovery section towards the bottom here. So this is where I will walk you and show you guys that what we have done is using in-platform process mining and machine learning and AI-based automation discovery. They're coming together to help you discover automation opportunities across all the workflows and processes that run on ServiceNow platform. For example, ITSM, CSM, HR, and all these different processes that power up these workflow. When we think about some of the outcomes, there's some KPIs that I'm hearing again and again in different CIOs or CEO conversation. Things like, hey, we want to increase our self-service rate, or we already have ITSM Pro, which provides us a bunch of automation tools in the platform. Why our automation rate is so low? How can we increase our process automation rate from, let's say, 10% to 20%? So those kind of goals and targets I'm seeing more oftenly being talked about. And then, the KPIs like, hey, can we quantify the savings in terms of the cost or the time? Now, the question becomes is how to make this a reality. And another way to look at it is what already exists in the platform, okay? So I'm taking this one example of case management. And if we see in the life cycle of a case, when the case gets created, what are some of the capabilities that can help more specifically on the self-service angle? Many times the goal is maybe avoid the need to create the case completely, so serve your user using different techniques like virtual agents, your knowledge base, better AI search that can help find people, common questions and queries that I have. For example, today morning I searched, they're like, do we have the Wednesday holiday, because it's Thanksgiving week? And we responded me yes. So things like, I think some of those common, otherwise, those might become a case that somebody has to work on. The second part of the journey is, let's say the case got created, okay? And then the goal becomes is, how can we help your agents, ITSM agent or customer service agent, to help resolve those issues as fast as possible? Or how can we find the right agent with the right skill set so that when the classification happen or categorization happen, it gets routed to the correct team or the person who can resolve it fast. Because all these leads to the faster resolutions, better SLA, and higher customer satisfaction. And when I think about, let's say, the service owner or that persona, they want to have the full visibility when from the monitoring standpoint. So that's where our performance analytics capability and as well as the process optimization capability comes and help to provide visibility into what's happening behind the workflow, where are the bottlenecks, inefficiency, or conformance issues. And then again, you go back to this continuous improvement, full closed loop. So as you can see on this slide, there's different boxes. So these are the capabilities. Most of them are automation specific capability. Then the question becomes is, how can we find this automation, potential automation opportunity? We analyze them, we vet them, and work on the opportunity that have the highest ROI. Quickly, another way to look at kind of step-by-step process before I go into the demo part and others. So if you look at the step 1 and step 2, so that's where I'll focus the most today. Take any process that runs on ServiceNow, do the assessment on the potential automation opportunities. There are a few different techniques we will look at. And as you find those automation, with one click, you send them to your automation COE or continual improvement management. And then the rest of it is obvious, any life cycle that you see, somebody has to make those kind of process changes, and then you want to monitor for your ROI. Zooming in a bit specifically on the process optimization part, because as I mentioned in this hyperautomation goal, process optimization really dominates in the discovery phase of the automation discovery. So the simplest view is you take any ServiceNow workflow, and then within 5 to 15 minutes, you can map it out quickly. So you will be looking at your process map, you will be looking at all the different insights. And then as you do the analysis that I'll go into detail in a bit, you will find those potential automation candidate. And then those candidate could be, is a best fit for, some will be for virtual agents, other will be for our AI ML capabilities, like we have similarity model, we have clustering models and classification models. We also have RPA and doc-intel capability in the platform. So the goals that we are moving towards is we are doing a good job in certain areas like detecting VA and other opportunities. So we want to detect opportunities for all the tool sets. Okay. So if we look at the automation discovery feature that is now embedded within process optimization, there are two different techniques that we are using at a high level. One is a process mining based technique. So this is, I would say, one of the differentiator we have. We have built a finding engine. And if you feed some of the patterns around, like, hey, these are the common touch points and inefficiencies that happen in a process. And then those finding rules will discover those areas as your finding insights card. So that's the approach number one. A couple of examples, if you quickly read through it. Hey, I'm interested in looking at what are the, how many times my ticket always go from like your assignment group level 1 to level 2. And if it is happening with a very high volume, and if the complexity is low, can I detect this behavior? Because that is a potential automation opportunity to automate that step. The second technique we have is a machine learning based technique. So the way it works is we have specific intent that comes with this capability, and it looks through, let's say, if we see the incident process example, all the text data in the short description and description, and trying to find out what are those incidents and what is user asking or complaining about, and then see if those types of issue can be automated using the tool set we have. So let's drill down a little bit more, like to make it more concrete. So what the process optimization native capability will help you do, and this machine learning technique embedded within the same workbench. So two quick example. First one is this manual triaging. We have seen a lot of customers like, hey, we have this sizable team, and the only thing they do is pretty much, incident comes into a shared mailbox or somewhere, and then they those teams analyze those, spend a few minutes, and then send it to the right team. And I think this is a good example because we have a very mature classification model which can now understand all the incoming incidents and help auto-classify. So if in this case, in this example, we ran it through an internal use case. If you see the incidents were coming into IT help desk where my mouse is, and it was going up to this group. But once we have the classification model is applied on that particular step, the auto classification is happening using this machine learning model. So, and we have achieved kind of significant success where people are pretty happy. It's like, hey, 80% of the classification is correct now, and some of those savings can be quantified in terms of the time saved and the cost saved. Another example we can look at it is this is a very common issue that we are seeing. Anytime Dan and I are on a call with customer and it's like, hey, you are running the PO first time, we want to see it. And one issue we always see is waiting for customer information or waiting for user information. And many times this field get misused in a way, teams, knowledge issue, skills issue, the root cause could be, different. But this is another example, an opportunity where once after you do the drill down, is like potentially using maybe an RPA, and then how you can nudge the people, how you can inform that, hey, this thing is sitting in your queue, analyzing some of the work notes and guiding the user. Okay. So with that, the context of the how we are thinking about the continuous automation discovery, the two techniques I talked about. Let's look at the individual features that will help us discover the automation opportunities when you start using process optimization. So first is we will look at the finding rule-based insight. I think this is, as I said, this is one of the key differentiator we have in the product. Once configured right, this works beautifully. And we are providing a lot of, the good finding rules as part of the different content pack, ITSM, CSM, and HR. The second feature that process optimization has is a variation analysis feature. So we'll see how this feature is helpful in analyzing the potential automation opportunity. Of course, we will look at the ML-based discovery I mentioned. And then some of the new enhancement that we are bringing in is look for specific patterns at the process level. And here's some good examples for you to think about. When you start, let's say, analyzing your process for automation discovery, it is always a good idea to look for these patterns. Okay, for example, high volume, because you don't want to apply automation if you're starting, let's say, your journey on just dealing with one-off anomalies and others. I think those comes later as your process gets more standardized and streamlined. The first guidance we provide is you look for high volume, low complexity, low standard deviations, less rework or repetitions in scenarios, because a lot of time people are getting involved. So most likely, it is a complex problem. Or approvals you can include. Many times, like low durations are a good bucket to look at first. And I think look at the areas where sometime before work, your life cycle is going to work in progress. And specifically thinking about, can you help self-solve the users, even if let's say the incident or case is created. Channel analysis is a great one. We are seeing a lot of insight customers have discovered while doing channel analysis, looking at how these tickets are coming through email and phone and portal, and what's the volume, what's the average duration, what's the standard duration. So I think this is pretty easy to do in the process optimization product today. User journey is where we are also focusing on. And so today we show you the process map of what kind of your task journey based on the audit history. And now we are also thinking about extending into going beyond, like you're at the user interface level. Like as people comes to service portal, in the future releases, we will be stitching together that user journey as well, so that you can see, hey, these many people came into service portal, these many people did the search, they ended up in this KB article, or 10% of them got diverted to virtual agents. I think that's coming together with your task level process journey. It will be very comprehensive analysis, because then you can look at the journey before those incidents and tasks are getting created and think about how you can provide more self-service and increase automation. Okay. All right. So I guess lots of slideware. Let me switch into the demo section, and I'll show you more particularly. Let's say if I go back a few slides, we will look into at least these 4 pieces. If we have time, I'll have some more examples later in the slides that we can go over. Let me take a pause. If you have any questions, comments, Dan, let's hear from the group if anything was not clear or if we need to clarify here.
From the chat, just somebody was asking about whether the slides would be available. And of course, we take the slides and the recording and they get posted to the community. I put a link in the chat to where you'll be able to find this stuff later, but nothing about the solution as of yet, but feel free to post those questions or come off mute and ask them.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Yep.
So let's look at the first piece there. We in one of the previous session we covered these finding rules, how to set it up, and then for this session I looked at few use cases and examples, and my demo data is limited, but I was able to create some of these finding cards. And as you mine the process, you can see if these matching conditions are there, then these finding cards become very handy, even for people who don't have too much of the process knowledge or like the data science skills, because these finding card highlights what is the opportunity, what is the potential impact in terms of the time, in terms of the volume, right? In my slide, I was showing some of the patterns to look for, right? In terms of the volume, the complexity, the number of people involved. So the way, for example, if we look at one of how these finding cards are coming to life is what you do is you go to the process configuration, okay? And then this will bring up a process specific. So in this case, we are looking at incident as a process. And down, if you scroll down, the bottom section is this where you define your finding rules through these finding definitions. So for example, for more details on how to kind of set up these findings, we have another session. I would say you refer to that. But let me show you a couple of examples that how I have set it up. I'll open up this one. Let's say the manual triaging example that I had in my slide. So in this case, you can sequence that is like, I'm looking for a behavior as soon as a incident or case gets created, track that in the journey, and if it was assigned to L1, and then eventually followed by to L2, and you can also define the time durations, like within 3 minutes, 5 minutes, because typically L1 is the analysis is quickly. You know, if it's sitting in their queue for multiple days, it's a different issue. So there is a time duration constraint as well. I haven't put it yet, but just to give you an idea that you create these like sequence 1, sequence 2, save those, and next time when you will run the mining, all those matching opportunities will show up as an insight card here. And this one is we are going to spend a lot of, because as hundreds of, we have, I think, few hundred customers that are using process optimization today. There's a lot of learning coming in around like the common inefficiencies. And one bucket in those common inefficiencies would be automation opportunities. And so the future content pack will have more and more examples like this that we are creating a library with, and then those will be part of the newer content pack. So now the question becomes, okay, this is, you know, maybe a potential opportunity, what actions I can take. So then what you do is you start analyzing these opportunities further, right? So you click on the card, it takes you to the map. Then you start to look at the variation analysis that you have. I mean, in my example, I have very limited data, but I think the one key aspect of the variation analysis is look for what is the volume in a given process path. Like for example, this one. This is just one record. Let me go to my another instance. I think this will give you the better. So I'll go to the same spot. Let's say you were looking at a finding card that gives you, hey, there's a potential virtual agent opportunity, for example. And then you come to the variation analysis. And then what you do is using the filter sorted by most record. Okay. So as you can see, there's 11%, 2.4K records are only going through these two-step process. If I pick this, for example, this is a step. Whatever the reason is, it directly got created and it directly moved into resolved and closed. Then what you do is, okay, maybe if this is not interesting, let me include the second one. So this is the path that it's taking from here, assigned to resolve. So maybe this one is a little interesting. I'll click on it, see more data, apply transitions. So I would say is the thought process where we are using internally in like discovering those automation opportunity is combination of your finding cards and then also looking at the variation analysis, because this gives you an idea around the volume, the time durations, and then the complexity, or like how many steps that particular set of records. And in one customer scenario, we found out like their 40% of the volume was taking a very straightforward path, a very high volume, like the 300,000 customer cases. And then they found that particular opportunity very interesting. And then I think they applied two techniques. One is advanced work assignment because the work was not getting in the queue, and then some VA opportunity. Okay. The another, if you think that, okay, these finding cards are, you can set these up in here. Good news is we are making this capability much and much easier. In fact, the part of the finding, we are exposing it even outside of the finding card. So let me quickly show you how this functionality has evolved. So we have a concept of transitions when you go in the process map. And what we did is we bring in some of these finding as part of the transition. So let's take a scenario. I'm a process owner, start analyzing my process, 3.8K record. But then I want to look for, I'm going back to my slide. Like I'll pick one or two kind of, let's say, I want to look at some of these patterns. And maybe with a combination of how many teams are touching these cases. So then what you can do is with this transition logic, you don't have to even create a finding card. You can create your query right here. And this makes it much, much easier. So let me show you one example. For example, let's say I'm interested in looking at incident that moved to, let's say, that went all the way to resolved or closed. So let's take that example. Incident state is resolved and maybe first occurrence. Then what you say is I'll add next one. Incident state, it came back to, let's say, work in progress. Okay. In progress and all incident. And the good thing is you can define some of these conditions that were previously part of the finding rule, eventually followed by, or not followed by. So now you can think of your own scenario. For example, I'm interested in, I have these multiple teams, like we have team in San Diego, Santa Clara, in our India IDIC office. And some of the cases that we analyzed is, hey, because these teams work kind of around the clock, and then they wanted to see how the work is getting passed around between those teams, and then can it be, there is some automation opportunity. So In that case, probably you'll not do with state. You can do with the other, like if you have assignment group or as part of the activity. Another great thing is you can define your constraint right here. I think time-based constraint is, I'm interested in if an incident comes back from resolve to work in progress within 2 hours, that may be an interesting one, because we said it's resolved, but then the user said, no, it's not solved. So the good thing is this, within the map, without even going through the finding those, you can think about these potential, hypothetical scenario that you have and create that condition right here. It's a concept of chain. So think of these conditions are coming together, and you say, apply those conditions with this button. Okay. So I think a great technique to, when you think about these scenarios, you can define, like, anytime you see a time, that's where the constraint field that we have between 1 day or 3 days or number of repetitions, you can define like anything that is 2 days or 3 days. Coming back to the variation analysis, one more useful analysis to, I think that should be done is, as I mentioned, what you are seeing here is all your routes. Okay, how many? If I clear, let's say all the routes, and if as you have seen, if I show you the entire picture of the process, this spaghetti map, right? Because this one is very hard to analyze, and that's where you come to the variation analysis, and we have a filter here. Okay, so then you can say, I'm interested in analyzing my cases for automation opportunity. If my cases is greater than, let's say, 200, because I care about volume, because more volume, and if this is an automation opportunity, the better ROI. Then you can say is this, and I'm looking for the complexity. So one way that field that gives you the indication of complexity is steps. So then what you do is, if my step is let's say less than 5, okay. So the good thing is you can filter, because these number of routes, if you see where my mouse is more than 3,000, and it's like, okay, it's too much, but I want to really go into this, anything that high in volume, low in complexity, and maybe probably the time factor as well. Average duration is more than 1 week. As you apply this, then what you will have is a filtered list, as you can see, out of those 3,000. Now, this is my first target analysis. So I only have to analyze the 16 variations, and the good thing is the 16 comprises of more than 50% of the volume, right? So you want to go for the areas that are kind of the quick win for you when you think about the automation analysis. Okay. Let me pause for questions. I went a little back and forth, so just want to make sure everybody was able to follow along. And if you have questions, please ask.
Nothing specifically around automation discovery. A question around centers of excellence and stuff, but I think we should hold off on that to make sure we get to the automation discovery piece.
Correct. Yeah.
And I've posted in the chat. We did do a session on kind of planning a process mining program and talking a little bit about scaling process mining at an organization. So I did post in the chat that Academy session for just in case we don't get to it today. But I think just want to make sure we get to the automation discovery stuff before we dive into other topics today.
Sounds good. Okay. So what I covered so far is a few different ways that are there, like the approach one, right? You look at the finding rule, you look at the variation analysis, you can further drill down. There's the drill down to records, or you can do the text-based clustering. Now, next, let's look at, because this is the most interesting. This is where we have tested this on lots of customer data. And customer have run it by themselves as a standalone. And now the good thing is this discovery technique is part of the PO workbench. So the way it works is once you have the automation opportunity enabled, and let me show you how easy is it to turn it on. So when you go to the process optimization configuration, all the plugin and dependency, everything is automatically enabled for activated for you. So the only thing that that is needed is when you go to process configuration for a given process, what we are looking here is incident, go to the automation discovery tab, and then this is the checkbox. So in case if you don't see the tab in when you go in a workbench, come here and check this off. Check this basically, mark this on. There's very default configuration, like it looks for the text data on the short description. If you want, for these common processes like incident, problem, change, short description works really well. But if you have some other, let's say the app engine type scenario, or maybe a different field, you go ahead and kind of analyze it here. And then good thing is if I check this, auto run this automation discovery, then I don't even have to run it manually. So by default, this is kind of auto run. A quick note on this taxonomy, because on right now we have the taxonomy for ITSM. The HR taxonomy is coming in Utah release. HR and actually ITOM taxonomy, some of those AI ops scenarios. And then the team is working on bringing the CSM taxonomy. So think of taxonomy is a list of pre-built intent that when the discovery happens, let me actually go to the actual UI so you can see what I'm talking about. So going back to the workbench, for this process, I already have the automation discovery checked. When I come onto this tab, this is the kind of the output you will see. So on the top, you have these 3 cards that tells you potential number of automation opportunity. If you click on that eye icon, it tells you what it means. The second is the number of deflection, because this like if you see, we are looking at 22,000 records. So what it's telling me is 10,000 of those can be possibly deflected. And then the last card is the estimated saving for the top 10 candidates. Okay. So since on my configuration, I set it auto run, then I don't have to do anything. I'll mine my process, the project model, and then this tab will be automatically populated for me. So now as part of the journey, some analysis, as I said, I'll do it here. And then I'll come into the automation opportunity. And my question is, based on the text data analysis of these 22,000 records, what are the opportunities that the ML-based discovery has detected for me? So if I scroll it down, you will see these 2 tabs. First tab is automation opportunity, and then second is not categorized. So let me explain this. So automation, this bucket is based on if you have the taxonomy available or not. For example, in ITSM, on this instance, I have the taxonomy. So it tried to match all those intents with these different clusters or the bucket of incident. So for example, in this bucket, I have 1,800 plus records. Some more stats, what is the MTTR, assignment group, what are the, who is working on that. And look at this field here, virtual agent ready. So what it is telling me is that this opportunity is not only that it's a VA candidate, but I already have the VA content pack installed. So which means, this is the good opportunity to automate through VA. In some cases where I clicked on it, we track the actions, right? So for example, when I was looking at this one, I can see that the VA topic it is linked to is unlock password account, because if you see the cool thing about this feature is it analyzes all your same process data that you're looking in the map, and then it looks for these opportunity based on the text. So it's telling me it's related to the user account unlock. And then here's a cool thing. I already have a VA topic available for us to implement. And then when it comes down to the implementation, you can go to the, I think my build is not latest. So it's one more card you will see here is the open the topic recommendations. And that's where you can go and start. It takes you to the actual VA and then the topic where you can attach these records, and they will start automating. So Dan, probably we can link the video in the there is a dedicated video on the journey. Let's say if the topic is there, how to attach a new topic, or then because there are few scenarios that we are telling virtual agent ready, and if it's not a VA ready, then how do you link it by yourself? So those capabilities are there as part of our kind of NLU workbench now. So now what you do is the one is, okay, one important feature I should call out here is because this is integrated into process optimization. Now, one question you may be asking is, hey, can I see the process behind these? Right? Because I'm in my process workbench. Can I see how these 1,800 records are solved today from end to end in a process map? Yes, so that can be done. You see this link here, open process map. If I click onto this, so what happens is it takes that ML, that bucket, those 1,800 records, and then it filter out my process for only those records. Now in this view, I'm not looking at my 22,000 records. What I'm looking at is those 1,800 records. And now I can see, just as the second part of the analysis, hey, is there more complexity involved? How much time do we have between, let's say, if I put the duration metric, and just is getting a little more confidence is whether this opportunity is worth spending time on further, or making a proposal that we should automate. So that's, I think, another benefit of looking at what the clustering and the automation discovery technique is telling you, and then also looking at the process behind it side by side, right into one workbench UI. Now, coming back to the, let's say if you don't have the taxonomy available for your table or kind of your process area, in that case, what will happen is you will not see anything under the first bucket. The fallback technique that we have is a clustering without the intent taxonomy. So, which is pretty useful. I mean, this makes it a little bit more, targeted. It tells you something is virtual agent ready, and then in the future releases, we will look for, is it an RPA ready and doc intel ready, and other techniques that we have. But I would say this one is still pretty useful because it will not give you those, whether you have a virtual agent intent or not, but it can still tell you that what other clusters that you have, and what is actually the, it's, for example, if I look at these records, these are about telepresence, and then the question becomes, hey, should we create a topic for telepresence, or and maybe drill down into these records, or look at the process behind these. So I think then it comes down to the analysis. The good thing is all this is coming together. You don't have to do it in a standalone, and then look at the process behind it, all the variation analysis, and then of course the power of finding cards.
I would say, just going to chime in real quick, Manjeet, on that scenario where you have like just the clustering, and we might not have the matches inside of automation discovery. A common use case is just to mine the tickets that are coming in categorized as other, right? We all get a bunch of those. I'm guilty of it here at ServiceNow. I am that lazy person that doesn't look at categorizing it when I'm filling out the form. I just say other, and then put something in. But those buckets of others, the clustering portion of the solution there, really helps you get an understanding of kind of, hey, are there any volume-based opportunities in those other areas that I can start acting upon, and improving the service a little bit. So that's a good use case for the other scenario for those lazy folks like me that are out there.
Yeah, that's a good one, Dan. Yeah. So in couple, I mean, in the remaining part of the slide deck, and we will share this. We have put together a few more ideas and then things to look for. So, for example, ping pong. We mentioned. It's always interesting to look at your P3 and P4 cases, because usually we found a lot of opportunities there in our case management, because people were really focusing on P1 and P2. But there's this large volume of these low priority tickets, but those are important from the your employee experience and from that standpoint. So we will be extending this automation discovery to RPA and Doc Intel. And the way we are approaching is for RPA, it's the same technique. We look for the specific intent, and it's like, hey, if I have a password reset RPA bot available, and if password reset is happening in a third-party system like Okta or Citrix or your mainframe, then we can look at those set of those requests or incidents and then automate using RPA. Doc Intel is an interesting one. We are seeing a lot of opportunity in not all the workflows, but I think the workflows that are very attachment/documents heavy. Case management, we are seeing good use cases there. We have some new workflows around procurement and accounts payable. So that's where we see this Doc Intel discovery, automation discovery will be very useful for the customers. And the way we are looking at it is, okay, what type of documents are used, and can those documents be handled through our Doc Intel and the OCR technology? And if yes, then those opportunities will be surfaced up. Yeah, so this is what basically the slide for the automation discovery tab that we saw. This another example of this is actually the slide that came from the P3 and P4 scenarios. It's a before and after state, how this was happening before, but then they implemented VA. How fast this has become from 10 minutes to 30 seconds. So this is an idea to how to kind of think about when you look at the good thing is process mining tells you these, the steps now, because which was earlier very hard to look at how many steps are involved when you will have to ask your users or your customers. But now you don't have to ask. You can say, hey, we have 7 steps today, and can we bring it down to 2 steps from kind of the manual standpoint? Thinking about some of the topics, the VA topics, and then the taxonomy that we have. So these 2 slides. The good thing is this library is growing with every release. We have 80 plus different pre-built VA specific automation, and which makes the this whole ML-based automation discovery more and more useful. All right, so let me then try to kind of wrap it up here. So the last piece maybe I can show is one is the kind of discovery. Okay, you find automation opportunity at the process level, and then you submit them in the as part of your this experience where SIM initiative, and if you have the automation CO installed, then you will see one more action which I have in this slide, automation opportunity. So you will it basically you have a choice now whether you want to track them as SIM opportunity, or if you want to use the another purpose-built COE location. We call it an automation center. But the goal there is wherever you are tracking, I mean, try to make it as a central place, because one of the goals should be not to do it in silos and not to build these RPA or VA in a different teams. It has to be, the more central, so you can increase reusability, you can increase your knowledge sharing, and then otherwise I see these automation effort, they happen. I mean, the teams kickstart, but then there's a lot of effort getting wasted, and then the good thing is that automation center has some pre-built dashboard and KPI, so that continue to show you the automation achieved through RPA and those as you apply them into the process. A quick look at the roadmap. So we, as I said, we have it for today, in even like before Tokyo, automation discovery for virtual agents. The ITOM is ITOM discovery came in Tokyo. And then in Utah release, we are working on adding those taxonomy and then kind of the rest of the pieces for CSM. And the goal is to deliver hyperautomation on one single platform. Dan, back to you. I think we only have 1 or 2 minutes left.
That's quite all right. Thank you, Manjeet. And a couple of questions came in during your portion here that were things that we may have covered in other sessions. So I've posted links in the chat to those other sessions in which we covered something specifically, let's say like that automation center piece that you just discussed there.
Right.
Real quick, just want to open it up. Are there any questions that anyone has that they want to ask in the time that we have left? If not, I'm just going to quickly wrap things up for those. Obviously, I understand some of you might have to drop at the top of the hour, but for the recording, I want to get some of the logistical things in here. For those of you that this was your first exposure to process optimization, and now you're saying to yourself, man, not only do I love process optimization, I would love to get the benefit of that automation discovery capability and start understanding my data a little bit better and where there are opportunities to improve and automate as part of the workflow. What you do next is you go to Now Learning and you take the Process Optimization Essentials course. It's about 90 minutes. If you put it on 2 times speed, you get through it in 45 minutes, just saying. And then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to activate the plugins in your instance. So you'll go in and you'll activate, or in your subprod instance, you'll activate the process optimization plugin. And then depending on the solution that you're using, whether it be ITSM, HR, customer service management, you'll activate the associated process optimization content pack. That content pack, by the way, you remember the configuration that Manjeet showed in which you had the tab for automation discovery and checking the box? Those configurations, those records, they come as part of that content pack. So it's super important that you enable the appropriate content pack for your workflows. There's tons of other resources that are out there. I really hope that you visit the Product Hub, Process Optimization Product Hub on the community forum. That'll get you links. Or if you search up ServiceNow Process Optimization FAQ, on Google, it'll get you to a landing page, which has a ton of information and links to all of these other additional resources. So search ServiceNow Process Optimization FAQ. You'll get a page that's got all of these links available to you. Last chance for romance and for questions. Anybody got any questions that they want to throw out there? All right.
And either it was too easy or it was
No, we just had a lot of content, a lot of content there. And the beautiful thing is that we now have it recorded so people can go back and watch it at a high speed or a slow speed, depending on what they want to do. Now, I just want to wish everyone that's watching this, we are coming up on the Thanksgiving holiday. Everyone that celebrates, have a fantastic Thanksgiving and next week. When we reconvene after the Thanksgiving holiday, right now, the plan is to cover process optimization and the request process, and then go into interpreting interconnected processes, and then the follow-up session after the new year will be on SLAs. But we are always looking for ideas, and as you've noticed, we've adjusted the content based on people asking, hey, we'd love to learn more about this topic. So if you do have ideas for a topic that you want to cover, please post them in the community or reach out to me directly. I'd love to hear from you. That way we get the content out there that people are interested in seeing and learning about, rather than us just making up what we think is important to you. So it's all about you. Make sure you get us some ideas for the content. Other great academies out there that if you're haven't checked them out already, please go check these out. And with that, thank you for your time and attendance. Manjeet, thank you for stepping up and providing us a lot of information about automation discovery and how to find automation opportunities. Really appreciate you helping us out here today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. See you next time.